Hey everyone, it's Wednesday today, not Friday, but we thought we'll give you a little midweek hump day surprise. So it's me, Monique, and Megan. We actually, this is a serious topic we want to discuss, believe it or not. But we'd like to talk today about taking care of geriatric and older dogs. But before we start, I just wanted to share my little story with my geriatric dogs. I had an 11-year-old Yorkie, of course, and she was 11 going on 3. And I remember telling people, my little Charlie May is 11, but she's actually 3 years old. Look how she plays. And literally a couple of weeks or a couple of months, a time period, but a short time period later, she was 11 going on 100. And Meg, I wanted to just talk about that, is to say, how do we take care of our dog's thinking? And in my mind, Charlie May was still 3, but she wasn't. She started showing signs of old age. Her little liver started packing up, and I didn't recognize the signs early enough. So perhaps we can talk about that. What are some of the signs that we can look out for with older pets per se?
So some of the kind of easier things to keep an eye out for is obviously their sight and their hearing starting to go. So perhaps, when you fed them in the mornings with a pellet sitting in the bowl, they would come racing out of the room because they can hear it's food time. Perhaps they stop doing that, because their hearing is starting to go. With regards to their vision, you might notice that they start, kind of bumping into things, or they might start fumbling around, their water bowl and their food bowl and kind of battling to find the things. And obviously then stuff like, watching out for their teeth, to make sure that their teeth aren't becoming too sensitive to chew on their food. They might not be eating as much, they might start losing a bit of weight. And obviously with regards to, things like kidneys and livers, kidneys specifically, what you will notice is that they'll start drinking a hell of a lot more water. And going to the bathroom more frequently, and the urine will be a lot more watered down and kind of transparent, rather than having that healthy kind of yellow color.
See, sorry to interrupt you,
No.
you'll only be able to see that if the dog actually whittles in the house.
Yes.
If they don't whittle in the house, you won't be able to really necessarily see.
Unless you follow
colour
them
they-
outside, which is actually recommended with your older dogs. You do have to kind of stalk them a little bit, and when they are having their private time in the garden, you do sometimes have to sneak up on them and just check that everything's working as it should. And yeah, if your dog is starting to go blind as well, it's not the end of the world. Some of the things you can do to kind of keep their life as stress-free as possible with them going through that kind of transition is making sure you're not moving furniture around the house, not changing any of the layout, because they will learn. They do get used to where things are, and they will navigate, kind of around the house and, the home that they live in. But it is
Joshua.
important to try and not shuffle things around, because then they will crash into things. They forget where stuff is.
Well, they don't forget, they just don't know. And you'll also notice, because I sound like I know it all, I don't, but I've had 2 older dogs, and the one was Charlie May and the other one Joshua, and Joshua was completely 100% blind. And I learned how to deal with him, but in the beginning I could see he'd walk almost tentatively.
Yes.
So he would use his smell a lot, and he would use his paws first softly to see if he could actually, but eventually navigated fine. He navigated down steps. But then of course I also had a swimming pool, and I made sure that the pool was covered 100% with a proper cover, so that if he ever got into that area, he wouldn't fall in the pool, because that's a for sure drowning if they are blind and they can't see.
And also sorry to interrupt, but also making sure that you don't have any kind of closed off corners in your house, to make sure that there's kind of a flow between the furniture, so that they're not going to get stuck behind something or trapped, kind of behind the couch and the coffee table. To try and keep a kind of open flow for them makes it a lot easier for them to just kind of cruise around and not get stuck and start panicking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's one other thing, for Joshua and for Charlie May eventually, but Charlie May used to sleep on the bed up until she couldn't anymore, but I bought them a mattress.
Yes.
Would you recommend that as well?
Absolutely. So an orthopedic mattress, because obviously their joints start needing a lot more padding and a lot more kind of care, because they start hurting and aching and cramping. An orthopedic mattress, which is obviously firmer than your usual
Hard,
dog
actually.
bed. Yes. Because, it's actually quite surprising, but the softer kind of squishy cushions are not good for their joint, because it doesn't offer them any support. It kind of ends up, when they walk over it, they end up twisting the joints, in ways that they shouldn't really be moving. And with regards to the grooming of your pet, you shouldn't be doing kind of the short summer cuts on them anymore.
Yes.
Leave a little bit of extra hair for them so that when they do lie down on the hard ground, that they've got that extra padding to just protect their joints.
And even with people as well, you know, with older people, they tend to get cold quicker.
Yes.
So, you know,
exactly.
it's the same with animals. They get colder quicker. So although you are very hot and we are on 36 degrees or, you know, really super hot, they do feel it for a minute, but they tend to quickly then cool down and their
Yes.
body temperature falls, and also at night. So
Absolutely.
please be mindful of that. So thank you. Thanks,
Yes,
Meg.
yeah.
Very interesting talk. And we'll see you on Friday. Have a great rest of the week. Bye.
Cheers, everyone.